Well, YouTube, the comment section did it again. Not only can we nearly double our damage by just swapping the gems in our weapons, but we can also swap some aspects around and do some resolve stacking. Let's go through it. It all started with Mr. Circles here, who helps me re-examine my belief that Rend now deals fire damage would make Rend scale with fire damage multipliers. It turns out that it doesn't, and that getting skulls on your weapons and moving all of your fire damage multiplier to physical damage multiplier will double your damage. Now, for me, just putting skulls in instead of rubies gave me the damage you see in the video. I'm still running this ring, for example, that I unfortunately transfigured with fire damage on it, so that'll have to be replaced. But what this also led us to test and realize is that these nodes don't seem to have much or any effect when you're applying Rend with Leap. But this one does seem to work. Now, it only seems to jump once per bleed, but I'm going to show you a pit run at the end of this video, and it did seem to help quite a bit with the clear, even though it's only jumping once per. I don't know if these things are intended. I don't know if any of this is intended. It's a little strange, but these are the growing pains of cooking up a new build. Normally, I try to reduce these enough that only I have to go through the growing pains of, for example, transfiguring the wrong thing onto your ring. But yeah, we're on this journey together, guys, and hopefully that doesn't screw you over too much. One thing that won't screw you over is swapping your Tyrael's Might to a Glynn's Anvil aspect. And so, as you may know, the maximum resolve stacks you can masterwork onto your gear seems to be bugged at the moment. The fact that this goes up to 12 is a little strange considering that a baseline GA is 5, so it should go up to like 8 or 9 or something, you'd think. So you're getting some extra resolve stacks there. Now, I'm not getting any use out of that bug because once again, I transfigured these glorious 4G8 pants with max life on them, which I will not have to change. But again, live and learn. And to specify, you need the Glynn's Anvil on your chest piece, and the way that we generate resolve is with the dominance aspect on your boots. Now, this does mean we're losing anger management, which has two downsides, one of which is potentially bugged, so it doesn't matter. The 20% damage roll from anger management, which people say is bugged. I haven't tested that myself. And then it also means that in order to get berserking, we are relying on the lucky hit chance from Shattered Vow. This should be up more than 100% of the time. It refreshes constantly. We're obviously hitting things all the time as long as we're leaping on them. It does mean that certain boss fights with long phases are a little annoying, stuff like that. It can fall off, and of course, if it falls off, you miss out on this stacking bonus from here. So there's an argument to be made that for pure speed farming, anger management is still the way to go, but for pit pushing, resolve stacking, I'm missing out on 12 resolve stacks from my pants, and it's still times 5 or times 6 to my tankiness. So that's glorious in and of itself. So if you want to see all these changes and more, you can go to the build planner in the description. I have been adding things as people requested them. There is an end game push version on the build planner now that has all of the right stats on charms and gear and all that. It has the masterworks and temperings and should be fairly complete. Please keep giving suggestions and I'll keep adding things. And actually, speaking of build planners, there is another new version of the build on there, which is again courtesy of Mr. Circles. And this will be good news for any of you who wanted a Heart of Selig version, because he's apparently put together a working version of it. Now, I have not tested this myself, but I have no reason to mistrust him. The solution he came up with was quite clever, and I have no reason to think it wouldn't work. I don't think it'll be as good for pushing. He said that as well. But if you want to be immortal and to use a Heart of Selig and cook that direction, then please feel free. I'll have him confirm that the build planner is reasonably well put together, that I'm not making any mistakes, and yeah, he's doing that. The way he achieved this was by swapping the he dropped Shattered Vow completely. So he's relying entirely on Skullbreaker procs to kill things instead of executing them with Shattered Vow. He can't resolve stack because he needs the aspect of anger management. He obviously equips a Heart of Selig as an amulet. He swaps the title aspect to the two-hander, and I think that should work. Uh, Maybe we can convince him to upload a pit run of himself playing that. We'll see. Well then, as our tower run finishes in the background, I'm just going to bring up one thing that might be an upgrade to the build, but that I have not and do not currently have time to test. This is just for those of you that like theory crafting and want to try something out. This is a potential avenue for you to go down. So there's a strange interaction with Rend in our build here because we're using a two-handed mace to leap around with for multiple reasons. It gives us overpower stacks, the weapon expertise applies, and the crusher glyph. So that's why you're using a two-handed mace. But Rend can only be used with a polearm or a slashing weapon or your dual wield weapons. And so even though we're leaping around with the two-handed mace and we're wielding a two-handed mace, we're doing damage with one of our other weapons. In my current setup, I have it set to be used with Shattered Vow. That's the highest DPS for me at the moment. But there is a chance that if you were to get two one-handed weapons with the lowest attack speed possible so that they have a high base damage, because the attack speed on those weapons won't affect our damage, only the actual weapon damage will. So if you could get two one-handed weapons that with the lowest attack speed and GA'd weapon damage on them, for example, and then you swapped your Rend over to be used with your two-handers, there is a chance that that's a damage upgrade. I'm not sure. It's something to look into. I would like to point out as well that this pit run you're watching is done with anything but optimal gear. There are quite a few improvements still to be done with the build here. So I'm running a ring with fire damage on it for one. My pants don't have resolve uh, masterworked onto them, or tempered onto them. So I'm missing out on a massive amount of tankiness there. And as you've probably noticed, I do die a few times during this run. Also, these little circles that silence you, oh my goodness, those can get removed from the game. That and all the on-death effects. I'm also running a very subpar seal. All my seals giving me is +1 charm slots. I haven't found one that actually gives a relevant bonus with the set pieces either. Uh, Getting a better one would be good. Getting a mythic seal that reduces that one that reduces the amount of charms you need to get the set bonuses could be massive. That would unlock a bunch of options. That's what pretty much everybody on the leaderboards is running. And as you'll see in a moment here, I actually do make it onto the leaderboards even with the gear I have. So getting a mythic seal would unlock a lot of options. Maybe that would allow us to fit in the two-piece bonus from Blood Ripper, which, I mean, if that works, it's completely insane. 80% multiplicatively increased duration on our bleeds would obviously be massive. And there are other things that we could get here, such as good transfigures. I have some decent ones, nothing crazy. You can get things like double transfigures, where the first one doesn't make your item modifiable but adds a bonus, so you can get twice the bonus of transfiguring. You can get crazy things like increased effective socketed gems, which I've never seen, uh, but could be completely broken. That could potentially double our damage again, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of things to do, and that's just assuming that I've found the optimal way to set up the build, which seems unlikely. So I'll hover my gear for you here so that you have a benchmark once again, so that you uh, can see what kind of gear you need to do this. And that's the build, guys. Thank you for watching.